All right, it looks like we have most of our attendees on, David and Brandon, so I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Claudia, and I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at Performex. Before we get started, I just want to review a couple housekeeping items. First, you'll notice that your audio was muted and your video was turned off when you logged in for today's session. Please remain muted with your video turned off for the duration of the presentation. This just helps us with bandwidth and limiting distractions so that the session goes as smoothly as possible. Next, please note that we will have a brief section for questions and answers at the end of today's presentation, so feel free to submit any questions you have for our speakers along the way by using the chat box feature. And lastly, collecting your feedback is very important to us because it helps us make sure the content we're bringing to you is fresh, valuable, and worthwhile. I'll be dropping a link to a 3-question survey in the chat box, and we'd really appreciate it if you take the time to fill it out at the conclusion of this webinar. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get to the good stuff. I'd like to introduce you to our Chief Marketing Officer, David Morris.
All right, welcome. Thanks, Claudia. And welcome everyone to episode number 2 of Marketing with Morris, Marketing Strategies for Life Insurance Professionals. I'm David Morris, Chief Marketing Officer here at Performex. So first and foremost, thank you for those of you who are returning, and welcome to all the new folks in attendance today. Last month, we had a great reaction. At least I was thrilled with it, because I was really surprised by the feedback that we got. And our last webinar was about creating your own brand, focusing on identifying who your customer is. And interestingly enough, after we were done with the webinar, I was so intrigued. I sat and talked to Claudia and the rest of our team. I was like, we need to do an exercise and make sure that our brand is on point, that our problems that we solve for align with the messaging that we're putting out there. So we did a really cool marketecture exercise over the last 2 weeks, and we're going to be coming in one of our next upcoming webinars. We're going to be going through the exercise, the exercise that we went through, the results that we got, and how you can benefit from that as well. So look forward to that in the future. Our goal today, and I'm really excited to have Brandon here. I'm going to get into introducing him in 1 second, but per usual, our goal is for you to walk away with 1 or 2 things that you can implement immediately, a takeaway that clearly can help you build your business. Our format is very simple. It's conversational. I think today you're gonna feel the energy. Brandon's pretty high energy. He brings my level up. I had to have 4 or 5 extra cups of coffee, I think, just to try to keep up with him today. So if there are any questions, like Claudia said, feel free to simply put them into the chat box and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I am thrilled to welcome one of my good friends and business partners, Brandon Bornancin. Many of you know Brandon as the CEO and founder of Seamless.AI, a software platform that delivers the world's best sales leads with the first real-time B2B sales search engine powered by artificial intelligence. I'm guessing if you know Brandon and you follow him, he's probably one of the best / funniest LinkedIn follows out there. And if you have nothing better to do, it's worth following him just for the entertainment, and you will learn something from him as well. But besides being the founder and CEO of Seamless, Brandon is also a serial salesperson. He's sold over $100 million in sales, 2-time multi-million-dollar technology entrepreneur, motivational sales speaker, 15-time sales author, who is obsessed with helping you maximize your sales results. Brandon's latest book, The 7-Figure Sales System, is available on Amazon. There it is. He's putting it up on the screen. And Mr. Bornancin, you wrote this part. I was like, did you write Mr. Bornancin?
No, my PR people do.
Your PR people did it. Okay. He's also the host.
Make it too long. It's so long and it's so lengthy. But
listen, I shot that. I condensed this down. The thing they sent me was 2 pages.
Oh my gosh.
Brandon is also the host of a podcast called Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, and it's super interesting. Follow as well. So I'm very excited to have Brandon here because most people, if you don't know, I met Brandon, I believe it was 2014, and of that over $100 million.
Yes.
Well, some of that was courtesy of me back
Yeah,
in
some of it came from Dave. First off, the cheapest customer you will ever meet. Dave was taking me through the grinder. I'd go to pitch him and he would just beat me up, and then I'd leave. And then I'd come back to pitch him another week. He'd beat me up down. Like, I'm surprised I got out of there being able to buy a sandwich by the time we were done with that deal.
But you did get the deal.
Yeah, we did get the deal, and you know, for the audience tuning in, David and his partners sold that for over $100 million, that company. So, you know, you're listening to an expert, and I learned something from you every day. Thanks so much for having me today.
Well, thanks for the kind words. All right, so let's jump into this. So I want to make sure that the folks online that are participating today, they get, you know, they have some stuff that they can walk away with. Yeah. But a little bit more background on you, just for a brief minute or two. When did you realize you had this passion for sales, and marketing? I mean, because it's clearly, you're super infectious about it. You love to do it. I've known you forever. And it's not like what you see on camera right now, what you're seeing on this is Brandon. Like when the beer or we're out talking about other stuff, this is Brandon 100%, you know, 365 days a year. Where'd this come from?
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting. Why I was to back up, why I was really excited to jump on this is some of the greatest salespeople I've ever worked with, like at Seamless. My VP of sales came from insurance sales. My director of sales, #1 salesperson at my software company, came from insurance sales. I tell them, like, recruit insurance salespeople and try to convince them to go into software sales. So I have a huge, I've never sold insurance, and I know you guys have a portfolio of products that you sell, but if you could sell insurance, which is you know, a very complex sale to people with a lot of options, and if you master that, you could sell anything to anyone, whether it's a multi-million-dollar deal or $100 a month deal like Seamless.AI. You could write your ticket anywhere. So that's why I was really excited to jump on, just to share what we've learned and done, helping insurance people and also hiring the best insurance people to represent our software. You know, why I'm energized, like my mission, I think I realized it a few years ago. So I used sales automation and software and technology to generate $100 million in sales and make $1 million a year as a W-2 employee. And when that happened, you know, I actually landed in Vegas. My accountant called me. They're like, if we pay you all this money, the government's going to take it all. We got to slice it up into multiple months. And like, I just sat back, you know, hung over looking up the ceiling at the Cosmopolitan Friday morning. And like, I almost broke down, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I never imagined my life making this type of money. And that's when it just hit me. You know, I built Seamless.AI, which was a big contributor to that. And it was like my secret tech. And I'm like, you know what? I want to help the world make over 7 figures in sales. And then we came out with this award, the 7-Figure President's Club Award. So now with our software, anyone that makes over $1 million in sales, we get you this massive award. And it's just, you know, something that lives in me. Like, I love helping people make a lot of money, a shitload of money. And the only way that you can positively impact the world is if you make more money. If you don't make any money, you're not going to positively impact anyone. You're not going to positively impact your family, your customers, your investors, the people that you serve. And I think like this mission ingrained in me to where if you help people accomplish what they want to accomplish, they're going to get rich, or they're going to be successful. And then that will come back around and help you. And that just fuels my fire every day.
Love it. So like I said, what you're seeing from Brandon, this isn't an act. I've been seeing this firsthand for like 7 years now. And it always energizes me. I know, like, whenever I have to sit down and talk with Brandon, I say have to, when I sit down and talk with Brandon, I do get energized, and I have to bring my A game. So let's get into, like, from the perspective, if I'm an insurance agent, or I'm a distributor, et cetera. And, you know, my pipelines could be different. The title today is how to fill your pipeline, right? Yep. More than you could ever imagine. And, you know, I might be somebody, my goals might be, hey, I need 10 new customers a year to make to make whatever it is that I want to make, or I might need 1,000, right? It's what, yep. But the fundamentals are kind of all the same, right? It's just how you do it at scale versus whatever. How do I go about filling up my pipeline? of new prospects? You know, is there a method? How do you
Yeah.
go about doing this?
No, there's like a framework that we use, that we teach in this 7-figure sales system. It's part of our 15-book series. So the first step is, I always like to recommend pick a niche and get rich. So you know, you could sell to everyone. The person that tries to catch 3 rabbits at once catches nothing. They're poor, they're starving, they make no money. But every time, you know, I've picked a niche, I've gotten extremely wealthy. We've generated millions and millions in sales. Or when I was selling for IBM and Google, the same thing. When I sold at IBM, it was like 10 to 20 industries, go and sell to everyone. Then at Google, it was very specific. Hey, instead of selling to 15 industries, we're going to sell to 1 industry. It's going to be insurance. And you know all the pain, all the problems, all the goals, the KPIs of insurance professionals and insurance companies and brokers, and you're going to help them acquire new customers. And then, like, when you pick a niche, before you do anything, you're just able to scale everything else you do. Because like with your outbound prospecting and sales and filling your pipeline, like once you pick a niche, you then have to build a list. You then have to write all of your scripts, your calls, your emails, your social touches, your video, your text message. That's like 5 different channels of scripts for calling, for prospecting. Well, imagine if you had 10 industries times the 5 different messages. Now you've got 50 messages that you have to write and come up with. So step 1 is pick a niche and get rich. And the best way to figure out pick a niche and get rich is where are you good at? So if you went to, you know, let's just say I've got a guy who was a dentist. So he was a dentist and then he got into insurance. Well, guess what? His whole network are dentists. Like he went to school to become a dentist. He hated it. And then he wanted to get into sales and became an insurance salesperson. Well, okay, that's picking a niche and getting rich. You know, I help dentists find the best insurance to maximize their success or whatever. So then, like, guess if the dentist can choose the person that worked with 100 dentists or just Joe Schmo who works with anyone, who do you think they're going to work with? They're going to work with the person that's in that niche. So try to figure out if you've got, I call it a power base. If you have a power base, maybe it's like you've got a group, you belong to a mastermind, you've got all these CEOs that you know, and you specialize in helping chief executives support their families and get all the suite of insurance that they need, you name it. Like there's all different hobbies, interests. Maybe you help salespeople. Like me, if I sold insurance, I'd be like the insurance lead for any salesperson in the world. And I know the salesperson's life, hobbies. I know they take big risks. They could lose it all buying stuff. Like, you know, so then you could talk to those personas. That would be step 1.
Yeah. It sounds like, I mean to cut you off there, but it sounds like, you know, what I hear you saying is that, you know, be the expert in your field, right? Just if you're really good in this one area, not only do you know the ecosystem, right? But you know how to message in the ecosystem, you know who the players are in the ecosystems, and now you're not distracted by the shiny thing over there, you're the shiny thing over there, you're focused on who and what.
Yeah, I mean, any single person is going to work with the person that worked with other social proof case studies just like them.
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of people will be like, well, insurance, like people just want to get the cheapest or the best or whatever, right? But you're always going to want to work with someone that's got the most case studies that are most relevant to them.
Yeah.
And we've seen that scale dramatically for this space. And then your list. So step 1 is pick a niche and get rich. Step 2 is you have to build your list. And I call it the 7-figure sales math. You know, whether it's 10 policies, 100 policies, 1,000 policies, whatever it is to make the minimum amount of money that you want to make, you have to 3, 5, 10x the goal. So if you want to make $1 million this year, I recommend setting the goal at 3 million, 5 million, or 10 million. Here's why. Everyone overestimates what they can do in a day and underestimates what they can do in a year. Everyone overestimates what they could do in a month and they underestimate what they could do in a year. Or, you know, they overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a month. We're always underestimating the amount of time, effort, energy, capital, money, hard work, failure that it's going to take to make $1 million a year. When I did it for the first time, my goal was to make 5 million and I missed it by 4x, but then I still hit my goal when my peers were making 6 figures.
Right.
And if I didn't set that massive goal, and then you have to reverse engineer, now that you've got your annual target that's 3, 5, 10x greater than your original target, you figure out what are the daily leads, what are the daily calls, what are the daily emails, the daily social touches, the daily text messages, basically the sales activity and the marketing activity that you need to then book the amount of daily meetings you need and the amount of daily deals. So I know, let's just say you want to make $1 million. Your average deal size you get paid on a policy is 10,000. You need 100 deals. And then you would reverse engineer to do 100 deals. I need 500 meetings. And then I need 10,000 leads to book the 500 meetings. And then you divide that, once you figure out the annual number, divide it by 265. That's the number of business days in a year, 265. So you figure out what's the annual target, what's the annual sales, meetings, activity to book those meetings, and the leads. And then you divide all of that by 265, and then that will give you your daily quota. Right. And you basically have to wake up every day, know what your daily quota is. How many leads, calls, touches, everything, meetings, close one deals, policies written, you name it. And just do whatever it takes to hit that. And that's step 2. Any questions about step 2 real quick, Dave?
No, it just sounds like it's very simple, right? Okay, what do you, just identifying, hey, and it sounds super simple, but many people don't do this. Like, what is it that I want to make, right? What is it that I want to, how do I, and then, like you said, reverse engineering it. And reverse engineering it could be as simple as, like you had said, like, hey, there's 265 business days, but maybe I don't want to work that hard, right? I mean, excuse me, I don't mean that hard. I want to work 200 days, but you can still get to that number. It's just, you're just changing the number of
in those hours.
Yeah. Maybe I want to spend half my summer on the golf course. Right.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
But the whole thing, number one is identifying what your goal is, and then breaking it down into small actionable steps, like understanding what actions you have to take in order to get there. It makes total sense. As simple as it sounds, harder to do, but simple is very simple in theory.
All right, I think a lot of people just overestimate doing that. Hey, I don't know why. Like, you think like, oh, well, I know my goals or whatever. Like, okay, well, do you know, like, what is your goal per minute or per hour?
Right.
When you actually break it down by day and then you go per hour and by minute, that's when you take it up 2 notches.
Right.
And it maximizes the level of accountability. You may skip the car wash because you can make an extra $1,000 during that hour that you wait driving the car when no one's driving anywhere during COVID or whatever it may be. It just gives you the roadmap to get to where you want to go. And also we built the 7-figure sales calculator. So you can join Seamless.AI for free. When you go in there, we actually have it where you type in your annual goal. How many leads does it take to book a meeting? And then how many meetings does it take to book a close one deal? And then your average commission based on policies or whatever that you do. And it will automatically calculate the daily, weekly, monthly, and annual 7-figure sales math for you. So just a quick tip there if you need help figuring out how to do the math or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's great. Cause I know that your free version has a lot of nice features, so it's not a, hey, come pay for our platform type of thing right now. It's just letting folks know that there is the opportunity to use the platform at no cost to them if they so choose. So
exactly. And then the third step, once you've got the niche, once you've done the 7-figure sales math, third step is you have to build the list. So, I recommend first starting with, again, your power base. Like, what is your network? So I've got 40 to 50,000 connections on LinkedIn. A lot of people don't start there. You've got 400, 500 connections on LinkedIn. Like, who in the 500 can I tap into to sell as quickly as possible? And then once that's done, I recommend you got to build a big list, whether it's B2B companies that you can sell your policies to the whole organization. I'm a big fan of, instead of going one-to-one, go to a company that could get you 100 policies, and representing the company as a channel partner to get you into mass deals. Like, would I rather pitch 100 people, or would I rather pitch 1 to 100? Right. And I'm a big fan of, hey, build a list of 100 or 1,000 companies, in your niche. Hey, I'm an insurance agent for SaaS companies with employee sizes 1 to 10. I'm going to help you and your employees as you guys grow to get everything that you need to provide, whatever it may be, the pitch.
Yep.
And then boom, now you're presenting, you've got these companies and you present to their entire employee base. So you want to build a big list of, contacts, companies, you name it. And once you have that list, you got to get the contacts, emails, and phone numbers. So you could use a platform like Seamless to get their contact info. And then you get it into your CRM. And then the fourth part is all about messaging. But there's a lot of different ways to build your list, whether it's my preferred way of going after companies to sell to the consumers in the B2B contacts, or, you've got the different directories out there. There's lawyer directories, accountant directories, dentist directory. There's so many different directories of different professionals. You could find directories based on household income, you name it. So whether it's using Seamless or any of the free tools out there, build this massive list to hit your quota numbers for the 7-figure sales math.
And that's a great point, because one of the things we chatted about in our last webinar was the ability to identify who your customer is, right? So it's everything. You can't, once you understand who your customer is, then you can basically make a golden profile, for lack of a better term, like, exactly who is that customer.
Yeah. Golden profile.
That, and then search that out. I mean, it's exactly the basis, the foundation of what we chatted about back in our last conversation. So let me ask you, just because I think that's really good stuff, and we're running short on time, like I knew we would, but I do have another question or two for you. A lot of it's like, I renew my insurance every year. Sometimes I think about it, sometimes I don't. Is there a different mindset on renewals versus like new pipeline sales? Because most people say, hey, it's much easier to keep the customer you have, right, than it is to go out and hunt a new one. So is there any thought process that you have around renewals that might be different, or just some nuggets around that?
Yeah, I guess there's 2 different audiences. If you've got your own brokerage, I'd have 2 different teams, one 100% on net new and one 100% on renewals. It's a different way to do it and a different way to think about it. But the renewal pitch is going to be different than a net new pitch. And if you want to scale to tens of millions of dollars in your brokerage or your company, having teams really specialized, hey, all we do is hunt net new. Hey, all we do is farm renewals. And when it's 30 days, 90 days for renewal, 60 days for renewal, 30 days for renewal, you've got all the different messaging and the scripts. Like, I would have scripts written, cold call scripts, email scripts, voicemail scripts, text scripts for the renewals, 90, 60, 30 days out. And then net new, I would have just my whole process of a 30-day calling, emailing, social selling, LinkedIn touching campaign where, you're just aggressively using a multi-channel prospecting approach. Now, if you don't have the luxury to have 2 different teams, let's just say you're a 1-person shop, right? You own your own book of business. I would try to bucket, the easiest thing to do is to skip prospecting for net new business. It's why I do cardio and abs when I work out in the morning, because I hate it. I hate running. I hate doing abs. Like, I'll always skip it if I don't do it right away. So I recommend, you block 4 to 6 hours of net new prospecting. You do that all day, same time period. And then the last 2 hours or whatever it is, however many policies you have coming up for renewal, you work your renewal pipeline. It's almost 2 different pipelines, and you manage them separately. And I would recommend time blocking. That's been the most efficient way for us to do that.
So that's really interesting, right? So it's a lot of what I'm hearing you say is just the ability to get organized, right? Is just like time blocking new business, renewal business, putting it on a calendar, and then realistically, then you're using technology to, in whatever way, shape, or form, to if you can automate some of the process and insurance, some, some of these, the actual face-to-face sales is not something you can do, but like or do on automation, but any marketing that you can automate, any list building, automate that, use as much technology possible to take the heavy lifting off your plate and become super efficient with your time. I mean, I know you're like me, like you're up super early. We text at crazy hours. And like you said, like whether it's abs or anything else, the stuff you hate to do, which is a great hack. Like you just, hey, knock it out first thing just so you're done with it.
Eat that frog. You just, And the tech is critical, right? Like if you've got 1,000 customers, you don't know when they're renewing. You don't know the net new list that you have to call. Like you got to get your CRM in place. You got to build your list. You got to manage your customers. I'd have 2 different pipelines in my CRM, new and then customer base.
Yeah.
And then you've got your scripts. Like a lot of people, and I wrote 15 books on this, a lot of people don't believe in scripts. And I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. Like I've got thousands of scripts, tens of thousands of pages of scripts for everything.
I know.
If I have to call anyone for anything, calling, emailing, videos, whatever, there's a script for it. And I figure out what's the best script to increase my conversion rates. And then you use it over and over again. If Tom Brady and Belichick had the one play that scored a touchdown every time, no matter what, no matter the Super Bowl or the first game of the season, do you think that they would run that play? The answer is yes. They're going to run that play every single day of the week. And that's the power of the scripts. You get to see what's the best play to win the championship game and then use that every single time. Scripts are a key part of that with the technology because they'll have you move fast. You got to leverage scripts.
Yeah, with the script stuff, what I love about scripts is the fact that it's practice, right? Even when you're writing them and you're seeing what's working and you're tweaking, it's being a professional at sales, right? I mean, everybody wants to be a professional. Everybody says they want to be professional in selling. How many people really want to put the work into it, right? That you want to be able to, because when you're in front of somebody, the pressure's on at times, right? That's your livelihood. How do you make money? So if you got to be buttoned up. I mean, especially, it's one thing when you've been in the business a long time and what's worked for you and whatever. But if you're relatively new, people message different ways. You got to know what works for that audience, for your person. If you're speaking directly to a group like dentists, like you talked about, what is the script for those folks, right? It's different than if you're presenting to firemen.
Right. Yeah. Right? Because I mean, my buddies who are dentists, no offense to dentists, but they're like technologically impaired. Like, they're on their feet all day, like working in people's mouth. They're exhausted. Like it's a different way to communicate with those people than it is a SaaS CEO who like, hey, send me the policy via e-sign. I'll e-sign it on my mobile phone. Yeah, I'm good. Don't explain me anything. I don't care. I'm just ready to go. It's just totally different.
I love it. So let's see, what else do we got here? Because I know we're slightly over already, but I always love chatting with you.
And the last part of the system is just activity, right?
Yeah.
So once you have your niche, your lists, your technology, your scripts, the fifth piece of this, everyone, is just getting up and working your ass off. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Like putting in the work, doing the activity. It's so easy to skip. Like the millionaires and the billionaires are working around the clock all the time. And I'm not saying you have to work around the clock all the time. You don't need to become a multimillionaire. But if you want to be super wealthy in this business, it takes, I mean, the people that I know, before they had, 500 people working for them, like I've got friends who've sold for Liberty Insurance and all these different insurance companies. They're driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and they literally, for the first 5 to 10 years, they worked 7 days a week, recruiting and building their business and selling 24/7 and going into very rough neighborhoods, whether it was final expense insurance or life insurance or whatever, knocking door to door. And guess what? Now they've got an Audi R8, a Lambo, a Ferrari, a mansion in Florida and Ohio and California, because they just put in the activity when everyone else was taking off or not working that hard. They just worked around the clock. And the best part is you don't need to be like smart. It's just about putting in the work.
Yeah.
Some of the wealthiest people I know were never nowhere near the smartest people in the room. They just worked harder than everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's that activity with everything about it. If you put in the activity and you try to improve every day, you're going to win big.
No, I agree 100%. So before we wrap up here, if there's, since we're running over and whatnot, if you feel free to drop any questions you want into the chat box. We will get those answered back to you, follow up. If you wouldn't mind checking out the survey and letting us know what you thought today and any other insights, things you'd like to hear about. If you want, should we bring Brandon back for another topic? I'm guessing we could probably chat for
Brandon forever, right?
I don't know about that. I think we'll be good, but you know, the half hours go by so quickly when we sit down and chat. And I know both of us are just super passionate about sales and marketing that we could do this for hours on end.
Yeah, our goal is to help you guys make a lot of money.
Yep.
Our goal is to get you in the 7-figure club, make over $1 million in sales, and ship you this award. So if you've got questions about, hey, sales, marketing, technology, what can I do to grow my practice, whatever it is, guys, let us know in the chat.
Yep.
You know, we appreciate all of you. You know, we've got nearly 25 people or whatever it is on the webinar. What are you struggling with your business? What questions do you have? Let us know in the chat, and we will, you know, tell you just straight up from our experience what we've learned to help you make it happen. And even if we have to kill this, we'll make sure we write it up and get you the info.
Perfect. And Claudia, so as we wrap up, Claudia, if you wouldn't mind putting up the slide, we're going to put up a slide on how to get in touch with Brandon at Seamless and myself if you have any questions. In case you want a free trial of something at Seamless, I highly recommend it. We use it in all of our companies, and every one of our sales folks at Performex uses it. It's been a game changer, lifesaver. And then also, Brandon, why don't you put up the name of the book is called The 7-Figure Sales System, available at Amazon.
Yeah, so this is one book of the 15 books, part of the 7-Figure Sales System. This is 7-Figure Social Selling. It's on Amazon. It's a #1 bestseller in sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, you name it. It's over 500 pages in print and 750 pages, but you'll get thousands of scripts, strategies, and secrets to maximize revenue and make more money today. We've already created a ton of millionaires from the strategies and the playbooks. Would love to get you a copy on Amazon. And then also, you know, if you want to find emails and cell phones for anyone in the world instantly in seconds, join Seamless.AI for free. And if you're on this webinar, just type in Performex, and we've got a special discount for you for unlimited sales leads. It's a search engine that finds emails and cell phones for anyone that you need to sell to. And it's free, so check it out at Seamless.ai. Awesome.
Brandon, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. We got the folks at Seamless.ai is the website. You can reach out to Brandon there or get more information about the product. If you have any other questions about Performex or how we can help you be more efficient, let us know. Reach out to us at performex.com. And until next time, thank you all so much for joining us here on Marketing with Morris. Take care.